Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints. What's with this Saints happy cast? This has to be the worst Saints podcast in the world. Ralph can't say anyone's name right. Andrew doesn't know football. Everyone has a hard time listening to Dave. And is Kevin even there tonight? The audio with this podcast, my God, the audio, it's painful.
All right, everybody, welcome to Saints Happy Hour podcast. The Saints are 10-2. They swept the Falcons with a backup quarterback. Yes, I'm dancing. It is delightful. Andrew, the Saints beating the Falcons with a backup quarterback, and Falcons fans piling on, wanting to fire their offensive coordinator into the sun, like we talked about with the Falcoholic last week. You should listen to that podcast. It's even funnier now that the Saints have won twice. What was your immediate thought about this game Sunday, besides the fact that we had a lot of this?
It's horseshit ball carrying, I know that. Horseshit.
That aside, what did you think of the game?
Win's a win. 10-2. It was weird. I thought Taysom Hill looked really good through three quarters, and I thought it was one of those things where the team was kind of letting him down. Defensively, they played well the whole game, but I just felt like he was being, there were Traquan Smith drops, there were Jared Cook drops, offensive line was playing shaky. Kamara had a really bad first half, and I just really didn't feel like he was supported at all. And then it all kind of came together in the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, it was Taysom Hill. It was like kind of a role reversal where he was like, oh, you guys want to screw with me? I'm going to screw with you. See if I can't ruin this game for us.
They did. The Saints tried to do their best Atlanta Falcon, Dave, and it was not pleasant.
They tried to out-Falcon the Falcons.
You can't out-Falcon the Falcons. You can't.
You'll never be able to. You will never be able to do that.
But, Dave, what did you take away from the game besides the fact that what's that thing? Drew's hairline is looking really good. Like his time off has improved his hairline. I'll say that for him.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that. What did I take away from the game? Yeah, I mean, I'm like Andrew. Yeah, a win is a win. They're 9-2 now, or whatever, and
10-2.
In good position.
First team to clinch a playoff spot, baby.
Already clinched a playoff spot. I think we're probably 1 week away from clinching the division for the fourth year in a row.
The entire Trump presidential administration. That's what.
Yeah, I know. You love that. You love that stat.
The Saints rule the division. Tom Brady's going to come in here. No, he's not, Tom. This is a big boy division, not that clown car that you've been playing in for 2 decades.
But this whole, the whole Taysom Hill fumbling thing, I mean, maybe it's petty, maybe it's really nitpicky of me, but I feel like that a lot of people out there in Who Dat Nation kind of feel the same way as I do, just based on the questions we've got, the hotline phone calls we got. It kind of seems like this fumbling situation that we've got on our hands with Taysom is kind of like a black cloud over this win, over Taysom Hill as the potential future starting quarterback of.
It is a black cloud because Andrew tweeted out a very disturbing stat from the Saints Happy Hour Twitter feed, which you should all follow us. Follow us on Twitter, Saints Happy Hour. Find us on YouTube. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're failing at that miserably. Please help us out. You probably already subscribed if you're listening to the live stream. But if you're listening to this show later, subscribe to us on YouTube. But Andrew, that tweet that you sent out about the Saints fumbling problems, it gave me chills in the worst possible way. Like the room turned cold, like that movie with Bruce Willis where the kid that he sees dead people.
Yeah, well, the Saints lead the league in fumbles right now with 24 fumbles. That's 2 a game, in case you're struggling with math. 12 games, 24, 12. But 2 a game is a lot, and Taysom Hill has 9 of them. Now, the NFL's
9?
weird.
Holy shit.
9. And he has 3 starts. He has 9 fumbles. Now, he's had fumbles in other games. I will say 2 of those 9 fumbles, for some reason, the NFL counts. For example, this past Sunday, he got credit for a fumble on the pitch to Kamara.
Why
Kamara
is that?
drops it. I don't know. But that's happened twice this year. So 2 of those 9 are pitches to Kamara that got dropped, and somehow he gets labeled as having a fumble. So that seems unfair. But 7 of his 9 are legit. And, by the way, Brees has 5. Brees has had a lot before going
the
down.
Saints had 8 total turnovers last year, I believe.
Well, they've been fortunate. They've only lost 8. So of the 24 fumbles, which tops the league, they're not that high in lost fumbles because they've been fortunate. They've only lost 8. So whether it's been picking up your own fumble, falling on it, or it goes out of bounds, they've been really lucky. But that's going to catch up with them.
Well,
really soon
Dave,
if they don't stop
fumble,
it.
And
that
that's...
second fumble from Taysom, it seemed to just hang by the sideline, I think, for like 5 years, and I was just waiting for the Falcons to scoop that shit up and take it in for a touchdown. It never happened, thank God. But that fumble, it literally, I felt myself aging in dog years as the ball just bounced and bounced and bounced on the sideline. That was horrifying.
Yeah, I made the point yesterday in the post-game immediate reaction podcast that I know not everybody listens to, so I'll say it again. You've got a quarterback like Taysom who puts the ball on the ground all the time. How is that? Is it that much better than Jameis Winston, who supposedly throws all these interceptions? So it makes me wonder whether all of the good things that Taysom Hill does with his feet, or now passing the football, whether that outweighs the fact that he's a liability, and he is very much a liability. And so that goes back to the whole black cloud thing. And I know hopefully Taysom is not going to be the quarterback for much longer for this team. Hopefully Drew comes back, and hopefully, Drew can stay healthy for the rest of the season through our playoff run. But, Taysom is still going to have a role in this offense, if not as much as he did prior.
And he's going to have
more.
Red zone
Potentially
carry.
more.
He's going to have more red zone touches. And Andrew, listen, we'll get to the positive in just a second, but this game Sunday, it was the exact same thing they did against Minnesota in the playoffs, and they lost. Will Lutz missed a chip shot field goal. They fumbled twice, and they fucking lost to Minnesota, and they got put out.
That's right. And we barely beat the Falcons this week. This shit isn't going to fly in 6-7 weeks when you're playing a good team, whoever you're playing in the playoffs.
Well,
and that's part of the problem. And thankfully, you have a good defense. Thankfully, the Saints have a good defense. And that will mask a lot of.
Brad in the chat saying, Jameis had 30 picks last season. I'll take 9 fumbles over that. In fairness, in his 3 starts, he has 6 fumbles. So Taysom is on pace for over 16 games. You do the math.
That's horrific.
2 fumbles a game. That's 32 fumbles a game.
Let's say Jameis was playing instead of Taysom, and let's say Jameis didn't throw any interceptions, just like Taysom didn't. But let's say Jameis was fumbling as much as Taysom was fumbling. You better believe people would be on his ass and calling for Taysom to go and play, even if he was winning these games. I think that I don't think it would be viewed the same way. I just don't.
Well, I will say this: the funniest moment of the Saints-Falcons game was at the end on the Hail Mary that Atlanta threw. Dude, C.D. Deuce, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, players hate him so much. Ridley for the Falcons, he didn't even give a damn about trying to catch the Hail Mary. All he wanted to do was blast Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on that play. How much of an asshole, Andrew, do you have to be to make a player at the end of the game, it's the last play, it's the Hail Mary, be like, I don't even care about winning this game. I just want to hit you in the face.
Yeah, I think he was resigned. That they were. He would rather do that. Yeah, that was funny. I mean, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, man, that guy.
He is
what is left to say? That he is always getting in fights. He's always getting in these. He's got a guy ejected. He got another guy give up on a Hail Mary trying to win the game. He got Michael Thomas suspended for a week.
NFL Films needs to mic his ass up every game.
Every game. Like,
you know, it's funny. I saw a video of him this week, and he was, talking to some kid, and I was expecting him to sound, I don't know what I was expecting him to sound like, but cocky, I don't know, maybe a little rough around the edges. I mean, he seemed totally nice and, approachable and thoughtful to the kid who had a disability or whatever. And I was shocked. I was like, what a seemingly nice guy.
Young man.
Yeah.
He's like the Draymond Green of the NFL. He's like everybody. You want him when he's on your team. You love him
unless you're Michael Thomas.
Yeah, that's right. But when you have to play him, you fucking hate him. You can't stand him. He gets under your skin. And I mean, honestly, as long as he doesn't take any penalties, he can use it to his advantage and to the team's advantage.
The one good thing, before we get to the defense, Andrew, we'll get back to them in a second. And you said it on the Instant Reaction podcast that people should subscribe to, just like Nicholas and Bob did yesterday. Become a patron. You get access to the every podcast every day in the Instant Reaction podcast, and we'll ship you a booze bundle. So do it. But you said yesterday, the most important thing from yesterday, 2 out of 3 weeks, Michael Thomas is back. And that is huge news for the Saints.
Huge. Yeah, he looks the same. He looks like Michael Thomas now. And I think that's way more important. I think if we're just thinking about ahead, the playoffs, you got to feel great about the defense. That's going to be there when the playoffs come, hopefully. Hopefully Drew Brees will be back. So I'm hoping this Taysom Hill panic that we're having is kind of null and void, because he won't be the quarterback in the playoffs. I mean, hopefully, they're saying Drew may be back this week. I think he'll probably definitely be back by the Chiefs game, but hopefully he doesn't get re-injured and he's good to go for the playoffs. But we won't have to worry about Taysom Hill if that's the case. And so really, the only thing I want to see is Michael Thomas, and we saw that. So that's probably the most encouraging thing, I want to say, as far as the whole team's
breaking news: Drew Brees just broke another 2 ribs.
Playing catch with his kids.
What's regenerating faster, his hairline or his ribs?
His hairline, for 100%.
Yep.
Hairline, 100%.
Not even close.
Like he has gone to the Bosley Hair Club for Men, or maybe when he got that German infusion to help fix the ribs, he got some of that nice European hair transplant. It's the hair, 100%. But I want to say this. I look at all these teams.
Dave, I'm thinking you need to hit up Drew for his hair contacts.
I didn't notice this. I don't know what you guys were seeing. I didn't notice any difference.
I figured as a bald guy, you'd be like, man, look at him, he's got hair again.
I didn't even notice.
Man,
really?
You know what? I'm a real baldy. Okay, I'm like a card-carrying member.
No.
And I don't recognize Drew Brees as being in our brotherhood yet.
Does he need to come on home?
He looks like he's doing. It looks like he's doing a good job at getting closer to gaining membership, but he's just not quite there yet. So he's gonna have to work a little harder.
He doesn't want to admit what God wants him to be, and that's bald.
Yeah, you gotta, just let it go. I mean, what are you gonna do? Pop pills for the rest of your life just to keep your hair? You're married, you got 4 kids, you're Drew Brees. I mean, like, it doesn't. You're gonna get laid. You're fine. You'll be okay. What is it?
I don't know. If Brittany Brees, if Brittany Brees tells me to take the pill, I'm probably taking it.
I gotta say, speaking of beers, I'm drinking a Dreamsicle, which Dave doesn't consider a big boy beer because it's got
here's a Brittany beer right here.
But it's delicious.
What is that? A Beta what?
Yeah, it's just Purple Haze.
Oh.
A little classic.
But
I know you disapprove, Dave.
I do.
And Andrew, this defense yesterday, considering what they were missing at corner and without Davenport, and they shut Atlanta down. And it was a combination of they didn't have as many sacks as before, but the coverage was just outstanding. This defense is playing at a level. I was trying to think of the last Saints defense to play at this ridiculous a level, and I was thinking. At first, I thought of the Hazlitt 2000 Saints, but that Saints team was it was just a pass rush that was the best in NFL history, and everything else was kind of a mess. I gotta say, this defense that the Saints have now, it's on a dome. It's as close to the Dome Patrol level as I've seen. And I know that's 30 years, and I know that dates me, but this defense is playing at a level that is just we haven't seen this in a generation.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was on a radio show this morning for Ruston, Louisiana, and they were saying how awful the secondary played and how it was like the worst game the secondary's played in a few weeks. So it's just funny to hear you say they played great. But my perception of it is this was a tough deal for them. For Patrick Robinson to go down almost immediately, no Janoris Jenkins, and so now you're rolling with P.J. Williams on the outside, and he's got to cover Julio Jones, which was interesting because PJ, I remember, tried to cover Calvin Ridley, was it 2-3 years ago, and he was absolutely annihilated. And I think Ridley had like 3 touchdowns in that game. I don't know if you remember that, Ralph. But so they were like, I guess because Julio had the hamstring, they're like, now let's try PJ on him, and we're gonna put Lattimore on Ridley. And I do think the secondary got some penalties. They were a little handsy. PJ had his
They were a
moments
lot
where he got beat by
handsy. Let's be
Julio.
realistic. The Saints had
Lattimore-
penalties, and I felt like 9 of them were PI or holding calls.
They were fortunate on a couple plays where Gage had a horrible drop on third down where it's an easy first down. But
go Tigers.
I think they hung in there for the most part. It was one of those things where it was very much a bend but don't break kind of game from the secondary.
Yeah,
it's the red zone defense, man. Once again, like that's what was so bad early in the year, and what can you say? They fixed it. The red zone defense looks damn good right now.
I mean, it's interesting. Sean Payton mentioned it, and he said, "Look," or the players talked about Sean Payton. Dave says to the team, "Look, if you get a third down stop in the red zone, that's 4 points because they're most likely, unless it's like, 4th and goal from the 1 or the 2." A team is going to kick a field goal. So if you get a third down stop in the red zone, that's a field goal. That's 4 points. That's huge. But Dave, that this secondary was missing 2 dudes, and they held up against Julio Jones and Ridley. It's, to me, we don't think of it as shocking because Atlanta has gone in the toilet. Dirk Cutter is a terrible offensive coordinator. But if you'd have said in August, the Saints are going to have to play Atlanta the second time, and they're not going to have Drew Brees, and they're not going to have 2 of their top 3 corners, would have been like, oh, shit. And it worked out just fine.
Yeah, it did. I mean, the Falcons, they've got some talent. They've got Matt Ryan is no slouch at quarterback, and they've got a lot of talented receivers.
I don't know about that. Matt Ryan's kind of looking washed.
Oh, come on. Julio Jones, he wasn't at 100%. I mean, we all know that, but he's still a great receiver, even when he's not playing at full strength. But but at the same time, I don't know. They've never been some dominant force, so I don't know whether my point being is I don't know whether we can. This is a great test for the secondary, but they got the job done. Like you said, it's not like we had it's not like we had Jenkins and then we lost Patrick Robinson. But I have nothing. But this is. You remember how bad it was years ago? My God. I mean, it was the secondary. The secondary was the worst part of a terrible defense. You know what I mean? It's like the Saints defense in general was horrible, and the secondary was the worst part of that, and so noticeably. And I'm not even talking about like the Browner year, the one Browner year, or the 2 Jason David years. I'm talking about an entire decade and a half of poor defense and poor secondary play for the most part.
The
Saints,
there
really,
was a parade of
really
bad corners, man. And we would talk ourselves. How many bad corners did we talk ourselves into? Johnny Patrick, Brandon Browner, Jason David. They have some other names. Who was the corner that was like a 5th-round pick that was always so bad that I forget his name?
Johnny Patrick?
No, not Johnny Patrick.
Corey White?
Corey White. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Damian Swan?
Yeah.
Hey, I should buy a Corey White jersey on eBay and give it away to our 325th patron as a thank you gift. That'd be amazing. You could wear it to family functions. I mean, who wouldn't be proud and honored to slip on the Corey White jersey?
I mean, but seriously, yes, the defense has been pretty darn good in previous years, 2018, 2013, right? Was it Ryan's first year?
Yeah.
But this, as far as I can remember, this is the first year where I'm almost relieved that like the offense is coming off and the defense is going on. I'm like, okay, I'm not worried. I know the defense is going to take care of business, or I know the defense is going to come up with the play that they need to come up with.
Yeah.
I have a confidence in the defensive unit as a whole for the Saints now that I can't remember ever having in the Sean Payton era. I really can't.
Well,
I got a quick question for you guys. So Marcus Colston, I think we would have long agreed, was the best Saint to never make a Pro Bowl. Does Demario Davis now have a case for unseating him?
It's close. It's really close because even though Colston has a longer sort of arc of being very, very good and great for the Saints, Demario Davis, his window of 2018, 2019, and 2020, I would argue he's been a better linebacker than Colston was a receiver. Like, Demario Davis is viewed by almost anyone who experts, talking heads, whoever, they're all like, Demario Davis is one of the best linebackers in football. As great as Colston was with the Saints, experts around the NFL were never like, Colston's a top 5 receiver. Like,
he's better than Moss. He's better than Calvin.
Yeah, like they didn't view him that way.
No one
like,
was saying that. Yeah.
Demario Davis, people are like, he's the best cover linebacker in football. And it's to me, the thing that's so baffling about it is he's acknowledged as a top 5 linebacker, maybe top 3, even higher if you want, and the Saints are winning, and he's still not making the Pro Bowl. It used to be great players didn't make the Pro Bowl sometimes because their teams were terrible, but they're winning, and he's acknowledged as great, and he's not making the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, you can't even blame him being a product of the Drew Brees, Sean Payton offense.
Yeah,
that's not even an excuse you can use.
The one thing I wanted to say about yesterday, the only thing that was funnier, Dave, than Stephen Ridley wanting to punch Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the face instead of trying to catch the Hail Mary to win the game. The only thing funnier than that,
it's Calvin Ridley, not Stephen,
was the Jets, Greg Williams on a Hail Mary blitzing 7 dudes.
Oh yeah, that was great.
NFL Twitter was like, well, he just did that to throw the game so the Jets could pick number 1. And all of Saints Twitter was like, dude, have you met Greg Williams? He never met a problem that the blitz wasn't a solution to. Like, we are well aware that, like, Greg Williams, like, whenever it's a big moment, like, that dude's blitzing. Like, he did it in the Super Bowl. He did it in the 49ers, 2011. Like, that was hysterical to me. That Saints Twitter was like.
I saw someone say on Twitter that if this is the last play he ever coaches, like, that's the way he wants to go out. With a 0 blitz, losing on a Hail Mary, sayonara, I'm fired, see you never again. Like, that's exactly how he would want to exit the league.
My favorite thing was they had a guy who recorded the play with his phone and, like, broke it down like the Zapruder film of, like, why Greg Williams did this and why it was clearly the Jets tanking and you wouldn't do this on purpose. And a Saints fan, they tweeted a GIF at him of Vernon Davis in the 2011 playoff game, and I was like, I was dying. I was like, dude, you need to get me a new keyboard because I practically have spit up all my drink that I was drinking. So. And Greg Williams, of course, as Andrew mentioned, he got fired today with the boots on. So Greg Williams he just didn't give a fuck ever, like against Sean Payton, Adam Gase, like he just didn't care. But I found that hysterical.
Yeah, I'm from New York, so I have a lot of friends on Facebook that are from New York, and they're Jets fans, and so I was thoroughly enjoying their Facebook posts after the game.
Were they happy?
They're like, why would he do that? Like, who does that?
Greg Williams.
Yeah, you don't know anything about your defensive coordinator, do you?
but Dave, Jets fans are happy, right? They want to get the number 1 pick. Like, they don't want to win some random game and fuck up not getting a franchise quarterback.
I wasn't watching the game, and I asked Ralph. I was like, "Did the Jets lose on a Hail Mary?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, yeah, but Greg Williams sent a 0 blitz." And
I
was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." I was immediately like, "Oh yeah, that's totally believable."
I didn't realize the Raiders' 85-year-old Brent Musburger is their radio play-by-play guy, and he was like, "Jackpot!" when they got the Hail Mary.
Wait, but to go back to the Demario Davis thing for a second, I just want to clarify. So, assuming the conversation you guys were having comparing Demario Davis to Colston, I'm assuming then that means that you think Demario Davis is the best linebacker the Saints have had since or under Sean Payton. Better than Vilma, better than Lofton.
I love me some
Vilma.
Whoa,
hold on.
Vilma was amazing.
Curtis Lofton. I mean, I've been a Curtis Lofton stan on this podcast before, but he's not in the same league as Vilma or Demario. But yeah,
he's way better.
Well, Vilma won a Super Bowl, so
I feel like Vilma I feel like Vilma had a lot more interceptions or a lot of plays on the ball.
The thing is, though,
but Demario is a way better in coverage and just a way better tackler.
The thing is with Vilma is because they won a Super Bowl with him, we remember him very fondly, and that's cool because we remember him fondly because he fought Goodell in Bountygate till the bitter end and stuck it to Goodell, and we love him for that. But on the field, Vilma really, he was only good for 2.5 years. Like, he was great in 2008. He was good in 2009. He was good for about 10 games in 2010. Then his knee gave out, that's why the Jets traded him, because they're like, dude, your knee is defective. It's going to explode at any minute. And the Saints traded for him, and they got 2.5 good years out of him. And then his knee was gone, and the rest of his time with the Saints, he wasn't any good because he couldn't run anymore. I think we remember Vilma more fondly than he actually was. Demario Davis.
Vilma was insanely heady. I will say he was great at the chess game of calling plays and stuff that I don't know that I would put Davis in that league. But I think if you were to ask any offensive player which guy would you rather get hit by, they would say I'd rather get hit by Vilma. I don't want to get hit by Davis.
Davis kills people.
Davis is a freaking savage.
He is. But it's a great debate to have. And by the way, we talked about it on the Grades podcast, which you should subscribe and you get access if you're a $10 patron. My boy, because everybody that listens to this podcast knows I am president of the David ONYEMATA fan club. He's really, really close, Andrew, to being your top graded Saint for 2020. All he needs is like a couple more monster games, and he is going to ascend to number 1, and we will have to play the Canadian national anthem on this show.
I think you want Kamara to have like one terrible game. So
no, I just need Kamara. I just need the Saints to win a game and David ONYEMATA have like 4.5 sacks and Kamara just be like a non-factor and just not have a terrible game but miss like 3 or 4 blocks. So you can give him like a C-, and you give ONYEMATA A+, and David ONYEMATA can ascend to number 1, and we can play the national anthem and all drink maple syrup. Or whatever Canadians
when you're getting 6 sacks from he's maybe never going to be Aaron Donald, but when you get 6 sacks from the defensive tackle position, he is killing it right now. And he is grossly underpaid, which is a statement I never thought I would say after this offseason.
I mean, I was telling Larry Holder was like, David Onyemata ranks second to Aaron Donald, and it was like 4 statistics. And I said, well, Aaron Donald is clearly just an alien from outer space that plays football for fun. So David Onyemata is really the best human defensive tackle on earth. And Larry Holder was like, yeah, that's about right. I think Aaron Donald just is on a different level than everybody else. So for David Onyemata to arguably be the second best defensive tackle is just, it's something. And the thing that we've said on this podcast a bunch of times, Andrew, is the Saints. Mickey Loomis said we didn't think we were going to be able to keep him, but his market, and he agreed to a contract that we could do. We really expected to not be able to keep him. I guess the Saints thought really highly of him, and they were correct. And they were like, other teams will too, and he's going to get paid, and we're going to have to replace him. And it worked out for the Saints, man. They got him for 2 more years after this at $9 million a year. That's a bargain. He can give them 1 more year like this. That's still a bargain. It's incredible. And actually, here's a fun question.
Speaking of Davis, I think his extension was 3 years, $27 million. That's looking like a crime. Also.
Yeah. Well, he's
Mickey Loomis, man. He's shafting.
Well, the thing is, though, Davis is 31. But here's an interesting question, Dave. Yeah. Who would you rather have long term? The Saints have Onyemata long term, or at least for 2 more years. Would you rather have Onyemata, or would you rather have Trey Hendrickson long term?
Oh, jeez. Man. I don't know. It's really it's a toss up. To me, it's a toss up. They're both they've both consistently played well this season. I don't know. I feel like they both have similar upside and similar floors.
I think I have to take myself out of this, Andrew. I'm a David Onyemata. I'm the president of the fan club.
Stan.
I can't be unbiased. I need you to break.
Why did Trey Hendrickson have to have a season like this in his contract year? Yeah. Golly.
Because it was his contract year.
Yeah. No, I'm happy for him. It's gonna suck when he leaves in the offseason, and he's gonna get a lot of money.
And the cap Dave. They're gonna do the bailout. You've been saying they would do. It's gonna be $195 million, the salary cap probably. So Trey Hendrickson is gonna get 4 years, $60 million, and we are gonna laugh and wish him well.
I don't know what I'm gonna look right now. Let's see. The Jaguars have like $85 million in cap space right now.
The Jets have a ton of cap space.
I mean,
Trey Hendrickson to the Jets for 4 years,
they're gonna be like
$70
double-digit
million.
sack guy. Give him the franchise. Trey Hendrickson might be the GM for the Jets next year.
Actually, you know what? Trey Hendrickson.
Player GM.
Trey Hendrickson was born to be a Patriot, except they don't pay anyone in free agency really. So he's gonna be a Jet. 4 years, $72 million. Book it.
I think he might get $100 million.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, dude, who knows, man?
God.
I mean, he's got 10.5 sacks.
I know. Good for him. Congrats.
Andrew, we talked about the defense.
Hope he doesn't get injured.
And how amazing they've looked, and they have. And we talked about the offense. We talked about Taysom looking great. Michael Thomas is back. Taysom, the thing is with him is there were 2 plays in that game that I think solidified him as he's going to be the Saints quarterback in 2021. I firmly believe that. They may draft a guy, and it may be a competition between him and Taysom. They may draft a guy high. If they fall, they may trade up or whatever. But I think Taysom's going to get a real crack to be the guy. And I think it's 2 plays why. That 3rd and 17 throw to Michael Thomas was ridiculous. And that 43-yard run, only Lamar Jackson can make that kind of run from the quarterback position. Not Josh Allen, not Kyler Murray, not any of them, I don't think. So those 2 plays are why Sean Payton thinks he's the next Steve Young. Am I right to believe that based on those 2 plays and the rest of his 2 games, he's going to be the guy in 2021?
Man, I wish I was able to watch some tape of him not playing the Broncos in a situation where he had nothing to do, and then the Falcons twice. Like, it just kind of sucks and that secondary is pretty bad. So it's too bad that we're not going to get more of an audition if Drew comes back this week. If he plays against the Eagles, I mean, that's another poor secondary, but at least we'll get one more team, a different look. So yeah, I just wish his audition maybe had a little bit more to it than what we've seen so far. But it's kind of an incomplete, I think, right now with Taysom. Again, like the ball security, 6 fumbles in 3 games is very alarming. His throwing has surprised me. I mean, he's completed 71% of his passes.
Yeah.
A lot of people talked about accuracy with him. A lot of people have talked about decisiveness, getting the ball out quickly, and he's done all those things.
His throwing motion's weird. It's kind of like long and clunky, but
so
it's not.
Is Phil Rivers. So is
Phil Rivers.
So is Bernie Kosar.
Yeah.
So I also think Sean Payton is amazing at scheming people open. I mean, when Traquan Smith has a play like that, or I mean, any quarterback in the league can make that throw. You can have Trevor Siemian could have been starting for the Saints, and he would have made that throw.
Smith, man, he is a Hall of Famer. When people forget he exists, that dude, he's got to be on the we got to do a bracket of like Sean Payton receivers that he could scheme wide the fuck open consistently, like Traquan, Meacham. I'm trying to think who else.
Devery
Henderson could get wide open. But before we get to the hotline, which is amazing, by the way, and the questions, and we predict the Eagles game, I want to talk about this, Dave. Pittsburgh, they lost to the Redskins at home today, so they're no longer undefeated. Kansas City played the Denver Broncos. The Broncos had a quarterback. Kansas City barely escaped. Now, granted, that game was weird. It was a division opponent, and Kansas City had a couple of touchdowns called back. But my point is this. I don't see any teams in the NFL that are significantly better than the Saints in any way. That doesn't mean the Saints will win the Super Bowl,
really?
But I was thinking a couple of weeks ago, Pittsburgh and Kansas City, they're probably a little bit better than the Saints. Now, I don't think there's a better team than the Saints in the NFL.
Pittsburgh, no. Chiefs, yes. I think the Chiefs are definitely a better team. They're, their defense isn't as good as the Saints. So that's one thing.
They gave up a shit ton of rush yards to Denver, though.
But their offense is just so explosive. I feel if they're playing their A game, they can score fucking at will, pretty much. But that's not to say that I think the Chiefs would blow the Saints out. I think that would make for a great game. That would make for a great Super Bowl. I think that you've got a good offense against a great defense, and vice versa. But I don't know. I think the Chiefs, again, the Steelers. We just saw them lose to Washington, the football team. But the Steelers don't frighten me. The Steelers haven't really played anybody that good this season. I don't think.
Well, we're about to find out in a couple weeks, aren't we?
Tough schedule. Yeah. So, but no, the Chiefs. I think they could definitely beat the Saints.
Well, I was stunned too. The Giants went to Seattle and won with Colt McCoy at quarterback. Colt McCoy, when I saw him playing yesterday, I was like, oh my God, he's still in the league?
Don't forget, Colt McCoy, didn't he beat a 13-3 Saints team?
He did. Well, no, that's right. That's right. In 2010. Well, no, was it 2010 or 2011 that he beat the Saints?
I think it was 11.
I want to say it was 10. But
no, it was 11 because they were 13-3 and they lost to Max Hall of the Cardinals and Colt McCoy of the Browns.
Oh my God.
They were 13-3 and had just 2 of the most awful losses ever.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
2011, what should have been. So, all right.
Yep.
The hotline this week, it is fantastic because of the jokes that you people made about Taysom fumbling is just incredible. And by the way, call the hotline. It's amazing. Make sure you call in before 12:30, 1 o'clock on Monday to get into your chance for the big show, and the unfiltered hotline, which is posted to patrons early. You get every call unedited. We got to edit it for time and space for the big show. But here it is this week, the best of the Saints Happy Hour Hotline, Week 13. It's time for this week's hottest takes from the Saints Happy Hour Hotline.
I just want to conduct a search party for Sean Payton's balls because his ambush and flea flicker and challenge flag reigning days are over, and he's now the guy who bent over for Goodell and doesn't trust his future Hall of Fame quarterback to get 8 yards with the game on the line.
As we've learned with anything in 2020, it's all just a bunch of horse shit. So fuck it. That's it. That's the voicemail. That's it. That's it. Play me on the show. Or don't play me on the show. I don't give a fuck.
I just gotta say this. Taysom, you gotta work on your ball security. I think Ralph, with his bad arm, probably has better ball security than you at this current time. Speaking of which, Ralph, I think I have your fantasy football curse because so far every player I've cut in all four of my fantasy teams this season go off the moment I cut them from my roster. I don't know why the fuck that happened. Can you give me advice on that?
Can we get maybe can Sean Payton get Taysom's newborn available so that Taysom can run with his own newborn child and then maybe understand how to fucking hold a football? Fucking fuck it. Anyway, we won. Fuck it.
Yo, dog, this Asheville Saint here. All I just gotta say is one thing. This team finds a fucking way to win. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah,
I
love that one.
About the defense thing, not giving up a touchdown for 15 quarters. I take that. Anyway, fuck the Falcons.
Jesus fucking Christ. Can we enjoy a Sunday for once without you putting me into a fucking arrhythmia? God damn it. Who that? Fuck the Falcons.
All right. Too fucking close against the fucking Falcons. That was hard, man. That was just hard to watch.
What the hell was that?
It was Dirty Birds, I think.
Have a chance at the end there, but god damn it, we swept them. Yeah, baby. Look, Taysom wasn't perfect today, but you know what? I'd rather go forward with that guy as my quarterback. I want to see Taysom be the man of the future. I don't care if he wasn't perfect, you know. He makes me happy. I want him to be the quarterback. Who dat?
Who dat? Laughable trying to steal that last second off the... God, we're going to regret this later.
You know what I fucking love? 3rd and 10.
Did she fuck
Let's
that
throw
up?
a little 5-yard out. What the
Motherfucker. 15 quarters, 0 touchdowns. Golden Child Tom Brady swept. About to beat the fucking shit out of the Falcons again. Everything is going right by me. I'm cooking a chili. I'm drinking fucking booze. I'm loving every fucking second of this. I can't believe all this. Drew Brees out. No big deal. Every other goddamn starter in the world hurt, doing this, doing that. No big deal. We're still fucking kicking ass. Everyone wants to cry about, COVID season. They're already starting to put asterisks on it. We made fucking Simmons already cry and laugh and whine and everything else. Asterisk this, motherfuckers. Life's a bitch. I'm living in a camper with fucking 6 people. Suck my dick. Who that? The fucking Saints are it. Believe it. Bring it. Let's go, motherfuckers. Who that? Love you guys. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Ralph, how's the audio on this? I want to make sure everyone can hear me. I want to make sure that the stat nerds can hear me when I say, hey, stat nerds, go fuck yourselves. Who that?
It's so good. So good.
I got a lot of. Okay, I have some notes. What was the second voice on that one call? That it sounded like a parrot. Did that person?
I thought it was a parrot, and then I think it's his like wife or girlfriend, or I thought it was originally like the normal like comedy duo we have sometimes, where they like have like the hype man.
No, I liked it.
But then I was like, I think that's a woman.
I think my favorite was I'm cooking some chili, I'm drinking booze.
No, I liked the second the voice there. It was like a sound. It was like his own little banana meter soundboard. But I think she fuck it up at the end. She like fuck it up.
I think she did.
And
I couldn't boost her audio up enough. She was like, I think she messed it up some kind of way. But I like, hey man, the calls that go off the rails, those are the best ones. So, you know.
And then. Do we curse that much? I feel like our listeners curse more than we do.
No, I think so too.
I mean, our listeners
me feel
curse
better.
a lot.
I felt less guilt about how crass I am on the show.
And they have some potty mouths. Not that I don't love it. Not that I don't appreciate it. I'm just noticing it. And if I'm noticing it, I think that says something.
Yeah, if it's making me blush, you know it's.
I'm not blushing.
So. We did the hotline. By the way, call into the hotline after the game. Get your call in before 12:30, 1 o'clock on Monday. You'll be in the hotline, the unedited, the unfiltered one that we'll post as well. But you might make the big show. By the way, if you go for like 2 minutes, like we can't do the whole thing. Like a lot of these ones, I had to cut them down. Like people go in there and they give a whole like I feel either people call in a rage and it's like 15 seconds in and out, or it's like 2 minutes. Like there's no middle ground of anything. It's either like bing boom out, or I'm gonna give you Shakespeare with 4-letter bombs.
Four-letter Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I had another thing to say. I wanted to said something to say about the guy that sounded like he was high, but I can't remember what I wanted to say.
Which one?
Which one? Our listeners do a lot of drugs.
Something about that. I need like control over this so we can like stop and rewind and like replay stuff while we're listening to it.
Oh, and by the way, I totally forgot before we get to the questions in the Discord channel and Twitter, we are hiring an actual person that we will pay money. We are hiring a content producer part-time for Saints Happy Hour. You can help us make videos and edit audio and maybe help me improve the audio for the podcast. We will pay you actual money to help us in a part-time job. Send your resume to saintshappyhour@gmail.com, and maybe you can be a part of the Saints Happy Hour team. How about that? It's seriously. We have money now in the budget to hire someone.
Make sure you read the fine print, because hand massages for Ralph is one of the requirements.
Yeah. Monadula got on me because I didn't put I put Saints Happy Hour and I forgot to put @gmail.com, and he said the email was incorrect. It was like a test for people, but it wasn't. It was just me fucking it up. But seriously, we're hiring people, paid position. Send us your resume. It can be a lot of fun for you. So let's do it. It's question time, and that means it's time to fire up the music. My favorite part of this song is that I've played like so much different stuff on YouTube, and I always get a copyright notice for copyright infringement. For this song, never get a copyright notice.
Nobody built a bot that's searching the internet for this song.
All right, here we go. This is from Whodat Golfer. Is it possible to now give Traquan a nickname that he has rightfully earned? Ideas include the Forgotten MVP, the Amnesia Assassin, or Mr. Forget-Me-Not.
I like Mr. Forget-Me-Not.
Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. And motherfuckers act like they forgot about Trey.
Ooh, nice.
That's
Eminem.
I like it.
All
right, I got a
year
question.
Was that, like 2001?
I got a question
yes, 2001.
I got a question for
No, that was the album. It was released in 1999. It was 2 years ahead of its time.
Dave, I got a question from Enriquez. He says...
No, wait, 2 years later.
Dave, what do you trust more? Taysom Hill at the end of a game running out the clock if the announcers say he has not fumbled one time in this game, or Ralph eating a funnel cake while driving?
Oof.
That's tough. That's tough.
Wait, what's the question? I know the two options.
What do you trust more? Who do you trust more?
You
got to be in the car with Ralph if you pick two.
I trust the announcers for sure more than Ralph. My God, no way.
Jay Boogie wants to know what is Sean Payton's obsession with running Kamara behind the sticks on swing passes? Why is he not running him up the middle?
Because of that one Green Bay play that hit for a 60-yard touchdown. He's thinking it's happening again.
It's fair. All right. Lily Deuce asks, San Francisco is playing home games in Arizona. What would happen for Saints to play home games in Atlanta?
Ooh. Fucking hell freezing over.
Yeah. I think I would rather forfeit than
I think I would too.
Play home games in Atlanta.
We'll just run it back again the next year. I don't want to play. I don't want to play in that filthy.
Like being in a position where Gail Benson would have to publicly thank Arthur Blank.
Pass. No. Just play a Tulane, for Christ's sake.
I would like to think they would play in Houston before they played in Atlanta.
Ooh, this is a good question, Andrew.
Which would be good for Ralph.
Yeah.
Considering all his fumbles, if you were Taysom's wife, would you let him carry the baby around? Baby Bjorn. Baby Bjorn until he corrects the fumbles.
Yeah. This is from Hoodat. He wants to know, and that's HOO Dat. So that must be a UVA Cavalier fan. Do punters ever find it again after a bad year? Kind of bummed this might be the end for Morstead.
Yeah. Andrew, you want to take that one? You grade the man.
I don't know, man. Look, I've seen Zach Streif bounce back at 33 to have the best year of his career. So, punter seems like it's physically, I don't want to say the least demanding because there's still, it takes a tremendous skill to do it, but it's not like you're taking a bunch of hits. So I don't know if he has like the dreaded core injury that is a yearly tradition for Saints fans. If he's waiting to have core surgery or something, then yeah, I think there's a good chance he'd be back.
Thomas Morstead is the betting favorite to the week after the Saints win the Super Bowl. He has some major surgery.
Hey, yeah, and you know what? We always talk about this. Watch what the Saints do. Don't listen to what they say. Remember when it was final cut day, they kept two punters. Remember that?
Yeah.
On the initial 53, the Saints kept two punters, and later that week, I guess the other punter was hurt, and so they put him on IR.
Got the red shirt.
Yeah, but I wonder now if they kept two because they were thinking we don't know if
Thomas
Morstead's going to be able to go, and I wonder if he's been punting all season with something torn or something. I don't know. Just a theory. Well, we already said that Taysom had vertigo, and we've already said that Cam Jordan had a back issue or something, right? Mm-hmm. So, I think it's time for the Phantom Morstead injury theory.
I think we should switch it up to the Unsolved Mysteries music. I like that. I like the Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
Right, forget it, Ralph. Don't worry about it. It's too late.
Yeah. Ralph, please. Let us know in the chat. Give me your fandom. We'll say it on the pod. The best injury theory for Thomas Morstead. We'll say it on the pod. All right, Ralph. This is a question for you from Nikolai. He wants to know, following the realization that Sean Payton left cheese for the players in their lockers, which cheese motivates an NFL player, and which cheese leaves them feeling slow and bloated?
Well, I think cheddar is the number one motivator because cheddar can be cheese, it can be money. So cheddar is the number one motivator. I think, what's that cheese that smells terrible? Is that Munster?
Brie?
Brie, Munster, Cream
Camembert.
cheese would leave you bloated, although you can do a lot of fun things cooking with
Camembert
cream
is
cheese.
stinky cheese.
Yeah. But cheddar is the one that motivates the most.
I liked whoever said it. I think it was in Discord. Said if the Saints win the Super Bowl, then they have a fucking fondue party.
If the Saints win the Super Bowl,
eat the shit out of that cheese.
Are they gonna defy the mayor and have a parade, or are we gonna have to have a Zoom celebration championship parade?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give this one to you, Dave. This is from Chris Mass. I don't know if that's like a play on words, Christmas, or if it's Christmas. Anyway, he wants to know. He makes a statement first and says, before the Falcons game, Brees was going through his progressions and he was barely rotating his body. He doesn't look close to game ready. So, who would be more effective starting against the Eagles, Drew Brees or Ralph Malbrough?
I mean, and Dave, you got to take into consideration, my neck is wrecked. So I'm not even at my peak physical condition, which even my peak is horrible. I'm not even at that. Thanks, Dr. Thomas, for taking me and giving me tips today to fix my neck problem. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Ralph, you didn't need to campaign for this, okay? I wasn't picking you, regardless of what you had to say about.
I just wanted you to have all the information.
Okay, I'm going with half ribs Breeze on this one.
So I'm looking at the chat right now, and one person suggested scurvy as a Brad.
He's got the scurvy.
Scurvy is a possible ailment for Thomas Morstead. So we'll go with that. Scurvy, I like that.
I would love
scurvy.
Al Michaels to say that on a Sunday night. Thomas Morstead out with a scurvy.
He needs more vitamin C. All right. Saints Rabbit wants to know, has Traquan ever caught a TD while being covered?
I don't know if he's caught a T. No, he did. Remember the Philadelphia game, 2008. He 2018. He caught it and got blasted and got injured.
Oh, true.
That counts.
All right. This one is specifically for you, Dave. Ambush called you out by name, and he wants to know, in the playoffs, would you rather final possession down by 6 with the ball and Taysom Hill under center, or you're up by 6 and you're trusting DA's defense to win the game?
This goes back to what I said earlier. I am now at the point where I trust the defense more than I trust the offense. So this is honestly not even a difficult answer. I'd rather be up, and I would rather sit there and watch the defense do their thing.
All right, Ralph. Whom do you want in the Ghost of the Playoffs past, with Vikings, Rams, and Seahawks being teams that we would have to play?
I think I would say Minnesota, and I know that
they scare me so much.
They scare us because we have a lot of trauma versus them, but I still believe Minnesota, if you can shut down Cook. Jefferson is amazing at wide receiver, but the Saints played like garbage in that playoff game last year, and Minnesota still barely beat them. If the Saints if Will Lutz just would have made the freaking kick right before the half, the Saints would have escaped that game. And the Saints probably played their worst game in that playoff game in like the last 6 weeks of the season. So I would take them, although Seattle, they lost to the Giants at home. They may be sneaky falling apart because they have serious. They were playing their fourth string offensive tackle in that game, so they have serious problems. So it's either Minnesota or Seattle. I want no fucking part of the Rams. None.
Yeah. All right, Dave, this one's for you since you're big on the no-catching MFers. Crescendo 2020 wants to know, Did Jared Cook receive catching tips from the Saints DBs in the offseason?
Yeah, he dropped that one. He made up for it. He had a touchdown. I mean, I'm giving him a pass on that. He's been pretty solid the second half of the season, so I'm not going to get on his ass.
All right,
Can we start a GoFundMe campaign to get Thomas Morstead some vitamin C to
yeah, he's got
clear up that scurvy?
Yeah, I have a book. It's called Man o' War. It's like a children's book, but it like explains all the parts of the pirate ship. And I had to explain what scurvy was to a 5-year-old last week, and I did a very poor job. Just so you know. So all right, is that the end of the questions, Andrew?
That's it.
All right.
That's all I got.
So the Saints, Dave, they are playing Philadelphia. At Philadelphia. Philadelphia's 3-8-1, and it is a complete. They are a complete dumpster fire. Carson Wentz.
Don't forget that one, because that one might get them into the fucking playoffs.
No, they're done. Like Washington and the Giants won. Washington and the Giants are both 5-7. So like the Philadelphia, they ain't getting in there. Dallas and. But
are they going to start Jalen Hurts?
That's what I'm saying, Dave. That was my next point. We don't know what Philadelphia is going to do. I think they're going to start Jalen Hurts because they benched Wentz. Jalen Hurts came in. He looked pretty damn good. He threw a touchdown pass. Philadelphia for a hot minute was actually down in that game 23-16 and had the ball at like the 40-yard line. And I was tweeting "Fly Eagles fly," thinking they could do the Saints a solid and beat the Packers. They didn't, of course. But I think it's Jalen Hurts. Does that change your outlook for this game in any way? And who you got?
See, Eric Peterson is no Sean Payton because
Doug Peterson. That's a Ralph.
Eric Peterson was as good a coach as Sean Payton. He would lead the media to believe that he's going to start one quarterback, thus making his opponent prepare for only that one quarterback, and then.
Who is Eric?
I mean, Doug Peterson. Sorry.
You think you know?
I mean, that was as Ralphie as it gets.
No,
my
and
God.
you never will.
But instead, he's not doing that.
Who is that really high guy on the podcast? Is that one of our callers that was speaking for Dave? Sorry. Continue.
So. But now the Saints are gonna prepare for both quarterbacks. They don't know who they're gonna play, so they're gonna prepare for both. Whereas if they lead them to believe that they're gonna play one and then switch it up at the last second, then the Saints would be totally unprepared. But so it doesn't really matter because the Saints are they're gonna be prepared for both. I would rather them start Carson Wentz because I just think he's terrible. Like Jalen Hurts, he might be terrible, but he also
might be great.
He might.
Jalen Hurts is. I don't know. I actually would be great with Hurts. I'd be great with Hurts because I feel like I've got to see something bad happen to an Alabama quarterback this year. So I would take Hurts.
But so, Dave, who you got in the game?
So
Saints
honestly,
by
I'm
6.5.
hoping they go with. Yeah. So honestly, I hope they go with Wentz, but I don't know. They do still have the chance to go back to Wentz. They're not too far down the rabbit hole with Jalen Hurts at this point. I still think they could save face and go back to Wentz. But regardless, the Eagles are not a good team. They're even lowly in the bottom of the basement of a terrible division. So the Saints should win this game easily. I don't see any reason why Drew needs to play this week. I say let him take another week. Let Taysom keep playing. And I'll say Saints. I'd like to see the offense. I'll say Saints 35, Eagles 17. And I'm still going. I'm going with whoever's going to return a kick or a punt return for a touchdown.
Ride
It's
it
gotta happen.
till it happens.
It's gotta happen.
Your commitment is unwavering, Andrew.
Yes.
And so you got that.
They won't even bring him to camp. He looks like a star of the day for the Saints.
No, I mean I don't know whether Harris is going to be healthy or.
You're counting on. You might be counting on Tommy Lee Lewis to run a punt.
I was this week. Yes, I was.
That could open up a
week.
door to the fifth dimension if that happens.
Yeah,
I'd be afraid if that happened.
Marquez, whatever.
No, Marquez he's on IR, so he's out for 2 more weeks. So Andrew, who you got, and who's going to be your star of the day?
Yeah, I'll go 34-3 Saints. I'm like in a blowout this week. Don't forget the Saints in 2018 beat the Eagles 48-7. I don't know if you guys remember that game.
Yes.
Wentz threw 3 picks. The Saints kind of have their number right now. So I think Sean Payton knows how to coach circles around Doug Peterson, and I think Dave's boy Latavius Murray is going to go for $150. I like the Saints. Easy.
This reminded me. Wait, I wanted to discuss Latavius Murray. What the fuck? I don't. Am I missing something? When it was late in the game and the Saints were just trying to kill clock, why do they just have Taysom run it? Why is that not a Latavius Murray situation?
It's a good.
I don't have a good answer for you.
Well, Latavius fumbled against Denver,
I think
so
Atlanta
I don't
has
know.
a good front. I do think it was different in the sense that the Saints felt like maybe they wouldn't run the ball as effectively on Atlanta because and their secondary is such trash.
Yeah.
And I think Sean Payton got in his own head like, hey, let's keep throwing the ball. They can't cover us.
That's true.
No, but they were not even when they were throwing. I mean, they were just even late in the fourth quarter. They were just to kill clock. They just kept throwing. Taysom would take the snap and it would just be a direct run. And Taysom has fumbling issues, and 2 you've got a freaking power. Latavius
had a fumble in that game also. Just so you know.
He had 1. He had 1.
He had 1.
3.
Defending
and
your
Taysom
boyfriend
added another 3. I don't get. I don't like to second guess Payton in the running game and why he doesn't use Latavius more. Earlier in the game. I don't know what goes into that decision. But at least late in the game when you're just...
but you know what, Dave, the Saints are 10-2.
Yeah,
I know.
They're now 8-0 the last 2 years with a backup quarterback.
I know. This is
Sean
why
Payton,
I don't. This is
Sean
why
Payton
I don't
should be
even.
the coach of the year.
Well, I don't know.
Do you think the loss by the Steelers tonight, by the way, helps Sean Payton in the coach of the year race?
No, because they're gonna give it to maybe either Miami.
Yeah.
Or. Or Cleveland.
They'll get I'm telling you who's gonna win it. The Giants are going to go 6-10 or 7-9 and win the division, and they're going to give it to Joe Judge. That's who's going to win.
No way.
It's probably going to go to Cleveland. We'll see how they finish out.
We'll see.
But Andrew, you are absolutely right. That's why I even hesitate to even bring it up, and that's why I don't. I would love to see Latavius Murray run it more, and yes, I think that if he was given the opportunity, he would take the utmost advantage of that opportunity. But at the same time, they're doing what they need to do. They're winning games. How am I to second guess? I can't.
Well. I'm going to say this game scares me to death because the most Saintsy thing in the world is to go 13-3, be the number 2 seed, and be like, we're the number 2 seed because we lost to the goddamn Eagles 20-17 in Philadelphia, and they finished 4-11-1. That's the most Saintsy thing ever. So this game terrifies me. But I think the Saints are going to win. I think Taysom's going to play again, and I think the Saints are going to win 27-10. It's going to be kind of ugly because Philadelphia's defense is pretty good. But the Saints are going to be fine. My MVP and star of the day.
They want to bring him to camp. He looks like a star of the day for the Saints.
I'm going to go a guy who's been playing really well. He played great against Atlanta. Marcus Williams is going to have a pick six in this game and help his off-season contract numbers and confuse Saints fans who love to hate him just as much as they love to hate Andres Pete. He's going to have a pick six, Saints 27-10. That's my prediction.
Still thinking about that hit he laid on that
dude.
I'm gonna predict a jumbo tight end touchdown pass to Will Clapp. Mark that down. Record this right now and play it back next Monday when it happens.
Go Tigers.
I don't know.
He'll be the first LSU Tiger to score for the Saints since Devery Henderson. It's coming.
I don't know if it's happening next week, but sometime this season, maybe even in the Super Bowl, it's happening.
Well, if Will Clapp scores a touchdown, I'll have to do like I did with the Tulane fight song. I'll have to find a horrible version on YouTube, and we'll have to fire that up for the soundboard and play the Hey Fighting Tiger on the soundboard. But thanks everybody for joining us. We had a ton of people in the YouTube chat. Thanks for joining us. If you don't join us on the YouTube chat and you listen to this later, you should join us on the live stream every Monday, 9:05. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get your update an hour before the show starts. Boom, you can join us. It's great. Become a patron.
Yeah, go click right now. Go down right there where it says subscribe and just click that button. Help us out.
Become a patron so my wife can get you a booze bundle out to you. Thanks to everybody who's been signing up. Send your resume. Join the Saints Happy Hour team. Become a producer of content. Help us out. We're going to pay you actual money. It's not like an unpaid internship where we pay you in like chips and T-shirts and koozies. No, we'll pay you actual money. So do that. And
but there is an initiation process, though.
Yeah. You have to pass a pass the Saints test. It's like the old citizenship test to become an American citizen. You have to pass a Saints knowledge test to join the team.
Plus we're gonna beat you with paddles.
You'll have to feed Ralph grapes naked.
With my one good arm, I will paddle you. So for Dave,
I'll take the paddles, please.
So for Dave, for Andrew, for Kevin, who's MIA, I'm Ralph. Until next time, the bar is closed.
Who dat? Super Bowl!